cycling.
And I used to go every Sunday to look at the boys. And Willie was the only one from that side riding against the French. And so he couldn't win.
Okay.
He couldn't win because the gang up on him.
Used to gang up on him.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
We got to talk about it. All right, we're going on. PJD2 102.7, 1300 AM, the 22nd of April, 2023. And Carnival we're in the mix of Carnival. Welcome to the program. Welcome to Sports Forum. I'm Antonia venturing in here for the full hour with you. And we're not going to waste too much time this morning because we are already running late. So let me thank all my constant listeners and all those persons who meet me during the week and really tell me how much they appreciate the program and they tune in. Thank them for tuning in. And today we have another interesting program for you, another dynamic and interesting program. We have a two-part program. This morning we definitely going down memory lane. We're going down memory lane, and we have one of the legends in the house here with us. One of most people I think know him as a musician. He has a background in music, but going through some of the Champion Review books, we realized that he was also deeply involved in cycling here in St. Martin. Without further ado, let me introduce my guest on the program this morning, none other than Mr. Boyston Sarton. Mr. Sarton, pleasant good morning and welcome to the program, man. Thanks for being my guest on the program.
Good morning, Tony. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure having you. Of course, let me adjust. Yeah. It's a pleasure having you on this program. We like to recognize and touch on our history and especially our sporting history. So, Mr. Sarton, as I said, most people know you in the music business, but you also an avid sports person.
Definitely.
Tell us a bit about yourself and your sporting your career. Coming up as a boy, what kind of sports what kind of sports you were involved in?
Well, I never was really involved in a team sport or anything like that. I used to go in the afternoon time and practice football with some big guys, And because I was not a player. Okay. But if I get a ball, you can't get it from me so easy.
Okay.
And so they didn't like that, man. And they used to when they get in close, I tried to take the ball from them. They would kick that ball. What they call it, a puntapia.
A puntapia? No, what's a puntapia?
On the nose.
Oh, on the nose. Yeah.
That's a hard ball. And almost knocked my head off. And I said, no, sir, I ain't gonna do that to my son.
You ain't doing that too much. So, who are some of the guys that used to play football back in those days? Who are some of the top fellas in football?
They didn't have any specific guys. You just go down on the field, and there was a team called ARC. That was the Dutch team. They were the champion for a few years. I used to go down there with those guys and Bobby Flan, that's my boy, Mr. Bobby Flan and Al Thompson.
Okay.
You know Al, right? We used to have
the jewelry shop. Yes. Of course, we know Al.
Those are the football fanatics, and we used to have a lot of fun together.
Okay.
He also used to play music with us too. Al used to do the bongos along and with the Rolling Stones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we ain't gonna touch too much on your music career. We gonna have to get you back on another program to talk about music. But let's talk a bit about sports and particularly, you were involved in cycling back in the days.
Definitely.
How did you roll into cycling?
Well, what really got my interest in cycling was I didn't even know it was taking place until I heard these car horns blowing. I was living in Cahill at that time. Off with Aces.
Okay.
And I saw this multitude of bicycle riders coming up the hill. And they're going up the hill like they have on engines. I never saw that before. And it was a etape of the Tour de Guadeloupe that was held in St. Martin. So the riders came in on Air France the afternoon before. And they get a little short orientation. And the next morning was the race. And those guys went around the island. They had looked like 5 minutes. They were back over here again.
They were rolling.
Oh yeah, they were rolling.
So that piqued your interest in the sport.
That got me in there. Every Sunday after that, I used to go to Margaret because only Margaret used to have a bicycle race at that time. And sit on the hill there, Wallowa Hill, and watch the riders when they're coming up, when they're going, when they're passing the area. That was the lookout point.
Wallawa Hill, that's
coming Marigot.
The young people, they don't know the name Wallawa. They got breaking Wallawa.
There's it wrong too. But that's what I understand was the Wallawa Hill.
That's the hill after the roundabout there, Agrama, going up
to
the top of the hill there, and then you go down into Cripple Gate.
Cripple Gate. Yeah.
All right. So that's how you got started. So how did cycling get rolling then on the southern side of the island over here?
Well, I used to. The only rider they had from the Dutch side was Willie Hodge.
Okay, he was there in the program.
So I was sympathizing with Willie. We all for the Dutch side. And I watching the tactics, the cycling tactics of the guys, and Willie could never win. He was a good rider, but he could never win. And these guys, they used to gang up on him. So one attack after the next, and then the big guy, which was Sylvain Dulon, that was my boy, man. That was such a tragic situation.
Was the great champion, Sylvain Dulon.
Yeah, and he would win. And every Sunday, Sylvain would win. Really, the best Willie could do was second place. So I said, man, I'm going to get these fellas, make a team that we can have some help for Willie. And then I went on my search. The first person I found was he's still riding up to today. He does ride and race Vincent Martin.
Vincent Martin, the Reds.
Reds,
yeah.
The cream. And then I got Richard. Richard was working with me at Residence.
Okay, Richard Genelet.
Yeah, and Richard got another young friend of his, Fonso. And so it was Richard, Fonso, and the cream.
Vincent Martin. Pleasant good morning, Vincent. I know he don't tune in, but he tell me his sister to tune in and tell him what's going on.
So he didn't have a bike. Vincent didn't have a bike. So I went in the Sears catalog and I checked a racing bike, and I ordered a bike from Sears. But it was not a professional racing bike. It was a racing bike, but it was heavy.
Okay.
So when they go on the road with that, it wasn't made for that kind of competition. So we have to go down by Gassi, old man Gassi.
Ah, the legend. Yeah.
And he trimmed the bike down, take off this, take off that, put on lighter parts, and the tie straps for your feet and everything. And that's how we got that bike rolling. So we kept training. We know we were nowhere ready, but finally we decided we were going to have a race, and it was in Marigot. So we got on the line, get your number, sign up, and ready to go. When we reached there, we didn't even have colorful uniforms. Like all we had was a khaki pants and a white T-shirt.
Okay.
They said, hey, what these guys come for? They come to play football. They look like football players. So I said, all right. We didn't have a racing shoes and gloves and hats and all those things. We didn't have all those things. And I, in conjunction with my older brother who lives in Holland, he started, I contact with him, and then he started sending me stuff, shirts, shoes, parts for the bikes and so forth. And as we grew, we improved on the quality of the bicycles, because those bikes are very expensive, the racing bikes.
Up to today.
Yeah,
today they even have more expensive.
Yeah, they're more expensive now.
A good bike could run you almost $12,000 these days.
Yeah. If you want the real professional ones, but we were in the bottom level, so we were like around $1,000, $1,100, $1,200, But they were competitive.
So how did Vincent do in that first race? How did he do in that first race with the khaki pants?
He came in. I think he was last, but then everybody was teasing him. But he has a great spirit. He has a great spirit, and you can't discourage him. You can't discourage him so easy. And Richard, all that came in, they were the last. We were the last in the bunch. All the French riders went in, and we came in afterwards. And we were laughed at and everything. So I tell him, don't worry, man, we're gonna get there.
Things will get better.
So when Gassi now, old man Gassi Richardson, God rest and bless him, he said, you come down by me in the afternoon time, I go walk with you, how you going to do? So we used to go down by Gassi every afternoon. We used to spend most of our time down by Gassi.
Down by Gassi.
As a matter of fact. And in the afternoon, we would ride down by his house, down by the airport, back and forth, learning how to pace.
Up to today, they're still doing that.
Yeah. How to hide behind the next rider and take a break, and then after you switch and you go in front and the other one, they keep following a suit, you know. And we start to progress. Of course, besides that, every morning we used to get up at 4:30, meet at a Texaco gas station, cul-de-sac, and start to ride, train. We go to town by the bridge by the ABN Bank there, and then straight to the airport. And we used to do that thing like in 5 minutes, not 5 minutes, in like 9-10 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, it used to be fast, and back and forth. So we do that, and then we come back up. And then we also had training where we used to do hill climbing. We used to go up Guanabay Hill, and down to the beach. But before the cycling season start, we would do exercises and running, and we used to
get a body in
run up that hill. Over here we go by the sea, come back up, and then we go into town by the beach and take a cool off swim, and then go home, because the boys had to go to school.
Oh, you're getting greetings here from Steve Lake. He said that you coach him with his brothers Francois, Maurice, and Etienne.
He's going to hear about that just now.
Yeah. I heard some stories about Francois. Tragically, I mean, we know that he passed away in Anguilla, but heard that he was really one of the best up and coming talent.
Although he was the last guy to join the club, because along with his brothers, he came right up, and he had that power and strength. He was a very strong rider, a young guy, and tragically, you know, Anguilla was
that was the John T. Memorial race? Oh, no.
I think it was John T. race, or they named it after. They didn't have a name for it, but afterward they gave it a name. And yeah.
So the training, you guys started training. What was the name of the cycling team that you had in those days?
The name of our team was Viking Racing Club, VRC. VRC, and we had emblem. We didn't have licenses and all of the acts on the French side, so I got together and I got the license from one of the French guys. And I went by the printery, I made some blanks, the same thing, with our association name, which we didn't have yet, but it was on there. And with that, they allow us to
allow you guys to race.
Participate. Otherwise, we couldn't participate anymore, because we start getting stronger now. You see, so now they want the people
put in some restrictions. Yeah. Start to put in a few restrictions here and there. Well, radio listeners, if you just joined us, of course, you're in tune to Sports Forum here on a Saturday morning, April 23rd. And I'm here with Mr. Boyston Sorton, and we're going down memory lane. So all of you cycling fans, and we're not going to talk about music this morning because, yeah, you know, Rolling Stones, but we're just talking about cycling because this gentleman, he quotes some of the top riders here from the southern side. Richard, Vincent Martin, Vincent still cycling up to today, man.
And later on, we added the trio. We had a bull, which is Maurice Lake.
Maurice,
His younger brother Etienne. He was the youngest of all, and Francois came afterwards because he was going to school in Curacao.
Okay.
And when those three guys got into the team, then you started seeing the performance from our team, because Richard was the #1 rider, and we had some others that were in there. I can't remember all the names now, I haven't seen them in a long time. But they were not the top competitors. You know? They would ride and participate, and they would come in the race, but not really up in the top 3, 4, 5. And yeah. When we start to I remember when we won our first race. It was a race that started in Grand Cars, went through Marigot, Lowlands, come up.
What year that was? You can remember?
I don't know. It was either in 78, 79, somewhere around there. And then when we came up, we had to go into town, Soccer Garden, and Fonso was also, I don't know where Fonso, I think he went to the States. he ran out of gas just above the Japanese club there. We pick him up and put him in the truck. Richard and all the others, they continue going. And Richard was the closest one to that day, that particular race. When they were going up, something happened. I don't know. I think Silver got a flat. And Celeste, that was my good friend too from the friend side, he got away. But he got cramp somewhere going up Sucker Garden Road. He could pick up a cramp. So we keep I call it reeling him in. We keep moving up. And Richard passed. And I said, oh boy, he cried, he bawled. And we were smelling this stuff when you rub on the legs from about a mile behind.
Okay.
So somebody got cramp, boy. We smelling that green liquid.
Yeah.
Winter green.
Alcolado.
Not Alcolado. It's
no?
like a winter green. Like
winter
alcohol.
Green alcohol. Yeah. Okay.
Somebody getting a cramp. Let me go. Richard, head down, and he just moving up. You meet them right above the Japanese club. Fanso sitting down on the rocks, and he continued. When we get in the hill now, by Eddie Ark there, going up the hill, he could, I guess he stopped or something. He had to massage him or something. So he got a ball, he bawled, we hear him crying. So Gassi was always a comedian. He said the jumbie holding me.
Get some crabs.
Yeah, so Richard going up, and he looked, I said, Richard, do not look back. You want to hit something, and you want watch in front of you. Just go.
Just keep your momentum and keep going.
Silver had fallen twice that morning. He fell in Roland's, and then he got a flat tire right by the head of the airport. And so that's what we got away from him. He had to come back now. That's a hard task. It took him a while, but he did come back. They had to get him a new wheel.
He made it back. Silver made it back. Wow.
He came in at the end of the race. He came in about maybe 10 minutes or so, 10 or 15 minutes behind. But that was expected. But this was the first race now that we were going to win. Richard, looking back, so going all there, we have the gas station between Grand Cars and French Quarter. He looking back, when he run off the road, and said, Richard, you're going to get a flat tire. Watch in front of you. Keep your eyes on the road. Just go, roll. Nobody in sight. Nobody. And we going down. When we reach Grand Cars now, that particular day, I didn't have a car with a loud horn. I had a Maverick. Remember the Mavericks?
Yeah. Remember the Maverick, the Ford Mavericks.
It had a weak horn, you know. I blowing my horn coming down, and they had a lady in Grand Cars. I think she was Poker, those guys, those brothers.
Yeah, remember Poker, yeah.
Their mother. She was a big bicycle fan. She jumping up and down. She figured it was Silver coming. But when they passed the line and they see it was Richard, everything got quiet. So I said, but Lord, man, I give the man a round of applause now. This is the first race
that he win.
Give him a round of applause. Richard reached in and they said, well, where's Silver? I said, he'll be coming just now. I was being a little sarcastic. I said, he'll be coming just now. But the good fate had it that we won. That was the first race we won. And from there, the competition was tight. You know, you had to be on your feet every day. Now that motivated them to train harder and do better. But we came from the bottom right up to the top.
Right up to the top.
Yeah.
All right. No, you guys also, and they tell me that I said that today was a different day, but today is April 22nd, and thanks for the correction. I don't know what I said, but it's April 22nd. Now, you also organized, besides that, you guys organized a tour of St. Martin back in the days also. There was something called the Tour of St. Martin. Was it organized by you guys or someone else?
We used to do it together with the French organization, because those are the guys who had the real experience on how to do this and set up that. It was Mr. Galvani, another Mr. Richardson. I don't remember his first name. I think he passed away. I don't know if Mr. Galvani is still alive, but that was a good gentleman. I had loved to deal with him.
His son is still involved in sports. His son is running one of the cycling teams on the French side, ISM, a real talented.
Yeah, we used to call him Monsieur President. Yeah, he was the president of the cycling association on the French side. With them, I learned everything about cycling from them. We used to go to meetings, I think, on Tuesday nights from 7 o'clock until we finish and arrange everything, where the food going to be given off, so you can assist the riders and where. And the rules of the game and stuff like that. But yeah, it was good.
Okay. So the tour of St. Martin, and what other races did you guys participate in? Because I know that I see some documents. You guys went to the tour of Curacao, or you had the tour of Curacao. You had some riders from Curacao that came in here for some big races.
Yeah. Before that, we went on. We were selected to go along with the French riders to Guadeloupe for a weekend race.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we didn't fare too well in Guadeloupe, but Silver was very, very competitive. That was his beginning to go to Guadeloupe. Motivation. That time, Merlot, I forgot his first name, was the champion in those days.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to that race, and then after we came back down, I started getting contacts. I used to go to Puerto Rico quite often in those days. And I got all my stuff where we needed parts, and so I used to go to Puerto Rico by the bike shops and get the parts and bring them in. But yeah.
So back in those days, the strongest club was the battle used to be between VCG and the Vikings.
Yeah, VRC.
VRC back in the days. VCG. Well, they finished now. Somebody say they finished now, but they were strong. They were strong up there a few years ago.
Marigot had a good team also. I don't remember the initials. The Marigot team, VM something. Velo Club, the Marigot or something, VCM or something like that.
Mm-hmm,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they had some good riders too. But they had a young guy there from the post office called him Facture. He was one of the best they had over there. He used to be always coming in Facture, and they had another guy. I think he was from Guadeloupe, but he lived in St. Martin for years.
Mm-hmm.
He got unfortunately in an accident down West Jungle. You come from French Quarter, you go down and you come up that gully there. Yeah.
But in those days, you guys used to really race some difficult races around the island and those things. These days, you can't get. Nowadays, you can't. It's difficult to get if you organize a race with too much hills in it. The fellas ain't coming out.
No, yeah, but that was another thing. But you had to do it if you want to compete outside. You had to prepare yourself good. Now we had to go. I got an invitation from Puerto Rico to come to bring the riders over for a tour to Puerto Rico. And it was very exciting. Everybody was, looking forward to this. And so I decided, I asked the guys if they would like to accompany us. We took Silver, I think Johnny Parrott, Silver, maybe I think it was only those two, along with our team, and we went.
So from your team went down Richard, Willie,
Robert.
Okay, Robert Gomes. Robert Gomes, yeah.
Those three.
Okay. Yeah, I forget Robert.
Robert was a junior then. He was young, but he still rode with the big guys.
Mm-hmm.
And he was in the back, but he never gave up. And that's the good thing about a cyclist. Because you're a stranger, you even don't know the road. And I didn't have my own car to stay back with him. I was on a team car with one from Puerto Rico. So Richard was in front, Silver was in front. They were all with the group, the peloton. And as we had good trees, mountains, and I tell you some hills.
There's some serious hills.
It take you like a half an hour to go up to reach up to the top.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm telling you. And when you reach up to the top, you got another half an hour coming down. But there are some big hills. And Silver was well placed all the time. Every day he would come in second.
Wow.
One Puerto Rican would come in first today. A different one come in first the next day. And the third day, another one come in first again. So you see,
Silver was always up there with him.
Second place. So he ended up having more points than all the Puerto Rico teams. And they wanted to give it to a Puerto Rican. I had to fight for my rights. The guys come down on me and said, "You got to go out there." Gassi was with us, so he said, "Go, you got to tell him." And we went, and then they realized it. Say, "Yeah, that's true." So Silver ended up getting the big trophy. Richard got, I think, second. He also was coming in right behind Silver. Yeah. And it was good. We had a lot of fun in that.
In those days, go ahead.
Yeah. Before we went to Puerto Rico, we had went to Curacao. And they organized a flat race right around somewhere there, Maripum or somewhere around there, just a flat race, full speed. Francois was in that also. When they were going about, wasn't many laps now either, but they did it for their riders. So we were going, and then Francois got a flat tire. So I was right behind us, and he pulled off. We just dropped back a bit. I got the wheels ready, everything. Pop, jump out. And it didn't even take a good 10 seconds. The wheel was on. Francois, but now he behind because they're going fast. It was Francois just sit on his bike and just pedal that.
Keep consistent.
When he reached the group, they say impossible. We pull him with the car. No, I mean there's no cycling. There's no cycling. The same thing with Sylvia. When we were coming up from Western, Sylvia got a flat, and we had to change the tire. And they had guys from Miami, Trinidad, Curacao, and I don't know if I can't remember if we had any other countries. Yeah, one guy from Los Angeles, and those guys went ahead, in the last minute, come up. We were supposed to win, but the guy come up and cut cross again. So Silva came in, Willie, right behind him. And I think Richard was right after with that, but they threw him down, they pushed him down.
Oh, okay. Great. No, in those days that you guys that VRC came out, Gassi was still racing, or Gassi was done pack up already?
Of course, Gassi was 70 something, and he was still racing. On the flat, you can't get away from him.
He used to turn over some big plate,
and he only ride those big gears, the small gear in the back, like a 13 or 12, and a 50 something in front. And he had legs like this. His legs were like a teenager. As old as he was, he had some strong legs.
Now, what about, we always hear about also that Victor Collingford was a strong rider. He was riding in those days, or?
Yeah, Victor also competed, but he was mostly on circle races. You can't beat Victor on track, because he had a track bike for it, and he could have continued. It's difficult to keep up with him on the track, but on the road, no, he couldn't win on the road. They had an advantage on him on the road. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna we got a two-part program here today. We got some basketballers gonna come in a few minutes. We have we're gonna definitely have you back with. We're trying to get Richard and we had Willie here already. We got to get you back with. I invited Vincent Martin to come in. We're gonna get you back in again to go down memory lane some more. If you look at cycling today, what how cycling developed after the initial investments in the 70s and 80s. Are you contented with what you've seen, what you saw after that?
After we stopped. After the accident with Francois, the mood had faded, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't want to force anybody to come out at that. Well, if you all want to train, I will train with you, but I'm not calling nobody out to train. And if you come, I'll go. And up to the day, that stick with me. 4:30, I'm ready to go in the morning. Yeah. But I didn't continue. We also went to Barbados. And Sylvia was placed good, but I had some heavy rain, water running roughly 6-8 inches on the road.
Wow!
And he hit one of those culverts downhouse, and that spoiled that race. Oh. But he had a good chance to win that race. That was in 84, 86, somewhere there.
So that was really a changing point with that incident with Francois.
Yeah. That was the killer of our cycling club, because the mood had dropped,
Yeah. It took a number of years for it to come back, because I mean, still right now it's extremely difficult.
They only had those guys Cream and those guys from the basketball. They used to exercise with bike in the morning. Just that started, and then they started picking up, getting more guys involved, and they started. They asked me to participate, but I didn't have the group to go and do it. I used to ride for myself, just in every morning, until my eyes started giving me some problems, and I fell. I hit a hole in the morning, fall and break a rib, so I stopped.
You stopped.
Yeah.
All right. Your final words before we close off with you. and we definitely have to have you back to talk for a longer period about you know, many more things, because I think we got a lot more to talk about.
One point I did fail to deliver on this discussion. When we were in Curacao, although, you know, they tried to, they said we pulled Silver with the truck and all that in France. So it was nonsense. That never happened. The boy just had the ability. He just pedaled back, and he got, they were almost out of sight. He caught them and came in the sprint. Right? And so they say, oh, Sir Martin this, Sir Martin that. The team leader from Curacao, Mr. Cassidy, he was a pilot for ALM. And now the next week was the Puerto Rico race. So we met them. We were surprised. We met them in Puerto Rico. Oh, okay. Now in Puerto Rico, they ain't come nowhere. I think all of them dropped out of the race.
So they see that Silver was really strong.
Yeah, they didn't come nowhere at all. And we ended up winning that race, and that put 4 feathers in our cap. And I was really proud of the boys. I really was. We used to live like a family, you know. We go to my Gassi get me, oh, you're gonna have eggs today. He said, duck eggs are the best eggs.
That's the best eggs for the protein.
Gassi was good. We had a wonderful time. He trained the guys. He gave them a lot of experience from his days racing in Aruba, Colombia, Curacao, and Trinidad, and those places. Suriname. He used to ride with in his younger days.
All right.
That's basically.
Well, Mr. Sarton, we want to thank you for coming in, and we definitely going to have you back. We want to get you in with Mr. Richard Genelette because this man was a great champion. We already had Willie here with us. Very interesting program. You know, we're going down memory lane with bicycle. Unfortunately, we never get a chance to document Silver. We do have something that we did an interview with Gassi back in before he passed away. We did an interview with him. Even self videotaped him cycling going down to airport. So that was really good. We have that. I want to thank you for joining us. We're going to go to a break, and after the break, we're going to come back with some basketball, Swaliga Youth basketball action. We got some enthusiastic guests with us here in the studio.
Okay,
we'll be right back with you.
Thank you very much for having me.
It was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure for me too.
All right, thank you.
All right, bye-bye.